The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
All right, it's Wednesday, the 25th. Oops, sorry. Let me get my thing on. I'm sorry, I didn't have my mic on. It's Wednesday, the 25th day of January, 2020. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It is the Daily Hour brought to you by Medical House, One Communications and Lindos. I'm Jamal Hartman. She's Sentia Durham, and Maya Palacio will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in her news break brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Sentia, how you doing?
Good morning. I'm here. You know, when you have kids, every and any little bug they pick up, you pick up. And I've been doing well.
Oh.
And Maddox is home with a cold. And I woke up this morning like, champ.
Oh.
I caught his bug.
You know, the great thing, we were just talking about technology yesterday, right? And one of the great things about doing this show is that we don't have to share a physical studio together. I don't have to worry about, getting caught in your sneeze trap and cough trap. But we are wishing you well.
Thank you. I mean, I don't feel horrible. It's coming. I feel it.
Oh, no. Let's speak
Yellow mug.
into the... Oh, yeah, I forgot my mug this morning, folks. So I'm just got a little...
Whoop.
Yeah, find me. Hey,
you don't want me getting into that bottle you just shared us, right? We'll leave that right there and don't let it happen again.
Jamal. Yeah, and it's never gonna happen again. We all get an unprepared day every now and then. It happens. By the way, audience, does everyone in the audience have a mug? Like, do you all have mugs? I mean, let us know. Sancho's got a mug now. I mean, I wonder if Maya has one yet. If she doesn't, it's her fault. Anyway, greetings everyone, and thanks for making us part of your daily routine. Another good one today as we welcome Dr. Jana Outerbridge. I hope I'm pronouncing this right because I meant to ask her, of Mayvera Wellness. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Mayvera Wellness. On the show, we're discussing grief today. So looking forward to having Dr. Jana on. I'm going to put her on the spot. Dr. Jana in my life, as far as I can remember in recent times, she was the first Miss Bermuda that I remember. So, back in the day, just putting that out there. But I'm excited to have a Miss Bermuda on the show. I think she's the first that we were going to have on. But grateful to have her on. Looking forward to an important conversation because at some point in most of our lives, we've all had to deal with grief or will deal with grief. So thankful that she's, agreed to show up and engage with us. The Daily Play is music today, and this is probably one of the easiest questions we'll ask all year. And something tells me Sancho's going to get the answer before I finish asking this question, which if she does, I'm going to give her hell. I'm going to say that. I'm going to give it to her. Don't forget, folks, the show is now live on our website, thedailyhour.com. So you no longer need a social media account. You can literally just go on thedailyhour.com and watch the Daily Hour live when we're on air. And while you're on there, please subscribe on our website and follow us so that you don't miss content like who's coming on the show, what did you miss on the show, and maybe a little prize here and there. So that said, there's so much to talk about. We can go in so many directions, Sancha. I have not seen people are commenting. I actually have two, Shana says, mugs. I think this is sarcasm from your sister, Sherry.
Like, I know, I was going to say, but how come I didn't get a good morning?
Oh, No, I mean, no, she's just trying to throw shade that I left my mug, I think, because she don't ever say nothing nice to me, whatever. Marquita Lee has two. Okay, we've got them out. Please bring one for me. I don't, why would you tell me bring them? Why would I have them over here, Sean? I don't have them. I don't even know where they are.
He doesn't. Yes, do
I
not ask him out for a mug.
Sean D. Shields, I am not the responsible one in this crew. Have you not realized that yet, brother?
It's like Santa Claus with the elves.
Yeah.
Santa takes, look, I'm gonna give you one, but the elves actually do the work.
I truly must ask, where are the mugs? But Sherry Vanderpool says Sancha will definitely get it. Sean, we'll get you one. We just I'll have to ask Sancha after the show where they at. Sancha will definitely get it. Yeah, whatever. Good morning, two mugs and the travel mug. See, I could have found the travel mug and use it today. But look, let's go. Oh, good job on the pronunciation. Oh, okay. I'm getting better at this stuff because before I just say something and then whatever. If you all knew what I meant. But folks, we've got to have a conversation, and this has been, and I think it may have been Sean D. Shields who recommended us discussing this last week. But there's a lot going on, and I try not to highlight too much about the incompetent government that is in Bermuda today. But there was an article yesterday, and there's been a few articles regarding the casino gaming in Bermuda. Talks that take place over future of casino at St. Regis. That's the Royal Gazette headline yesterday. I just want to read a bit from the Gazette. And I know a lot of people have issues with the Royal Gazette and don't prefer not to read it. But at the end of the day, there are things called necessary evils. And I'm not saying that the Royal Gazette is, but I believe news should be free, and having access to information should be just as free. But this story reads, crunch talks are to be held next week about the future of the St. Regis Resort's casino plans. The Royal Gazette understands senior figures from the Marriott Group, which operates the St. Regis, are flying into the island for urgent discussions about the casino. It comes after the collapse of the bid to introduce casino gaming at Hamilton Princess and Beach Club. It is not yet clear if the Marriott Group are meeting with the government or members of the Bermuda Gaming Commission. Well, here's where it gets interesting. It's this third paragraph here. It says, the move comes as a number of industry insiders have told the Royal Gazette that a key deterrent for U.S. banks to become involved in creating a casino business is a perception that David Burt, well, that's the Premier, David Burt, has too close a relationship with the Bermuda Gaming Commission, which regulates gambling. So let's stop there, because as I said to someone in private yesterday, if there were ever an article that highlights all that's wrong with the David Burt government and administration, it would be that article, right? So the question of the morning is very simple, and we put it up on our Instagram stories yesterday as well, Sancha. But the question is very simple. Should Bermuda still move forward with gaming? What are your thoughts? Should we still move forward with gaming? It's been what, 6-7 years, probably 8 at this point. I think the act was passed 2014. So if my math, that's 6 plus 3, almost 8 years this year. I'm not. Look, I don't have. You all tell me. But anyway, what are your thoughts? Should Bermuda still move forward with gaming? What are your thoughts on it? Oh, Sandra, what was that look?
I don't know. I'm gonna let you go first today.
No, thank you. I have something to say. So honestly, I'll say this much. I said it when we first started this show, and I said it over the years up until this point. I need to understand the purpose of gaming at this point. When Bermuda was first talking about gaming, let's go back to, not first, but I remember when Dr. Ewart Brown was pushing for it, and people were against it. His own party voted against it back then, and some people felt no, it was too personal to him. And then within 6 years, the One Bermuda Alliance, I believe the late Sean Crocker was minister, they were pushing ahead with it. And I questioned, well, why were they so against it, even his own party, when Dr. Brown was pushing for it? During that time, keep in mind the two big comparisons were Las Vegas and Atlantic City. And a lot of people were saying, oh, gaming is bad for, the community. This is what happens. And a lot of people were using places like Atlantic City on how it, ruined, families and so on. Well, since then, Sencha, and it's like kind of like marijuana, right? Since then, you see in Colorado, Washington State, and other places with marijuana. Since then, almost every state in the United States has allowed some form of gaming, right? I mean, Pennsylvania, just name a state, right? They're even allowing sports betting now, right? So for me, I would like to know what is the purpose of it, because I don't think adding gaming to Bermuda is going to necessarily make a difference in terms of, oh, I'm going to go to Bermuda because they have casino gaming. What I do think it would do, it would give people something, people who were already considering coming to Bermuda, something extra to do. When I think of casino gaming, I don't think of just about the gambling and stuff. I think about the entertainment. If you've ever been to Vegas, you know, you can go to Vegas and have the time of your life without really ever gambling, right? The amount of shows and everything that comes with it, right? That's what I was thinking of when I was, thinking about Bermuda and casinos. But if it's just about gambling and gaming, I really do think that ship has sailed as far as adding value to Bermuda and trying to use it to attract people. A little place in the middle America has casino gaming. Foxwoods and Mohegan Sun in Connecticut. I believe Foxwoods at one point, when Bermuda was first in the gaming conversation, was the largest casino in the world, right? I just don't see at this point how it's going to add value or be a decision maker for people interested in coming to Bermuda. So that's my first thing. As far as moving forward, Sandra, like with it, I think you can replace the Bermuda Game Commission with the Bermuda Tourism Authority, and rightfully so. Let me just say this: if the government feels they're giving money to the BTA or Gaming Commission, if they're the ones funding it, and that they should have a say, so be it. I'm not going to sit here and argue against David Brett and his administration, but keep in mind when you do that, other people are going to walk away, and there's likely the people you need, like the banks. Right? They don't want to be involved politically, and that's their right. But I just don't think this is a good sign that the people you need are not interested in working with you. So Bermuda's reputation is on the line. So every last person watching this show that's tuned into this show right now, you may not care. You may think it may not affect you, but politics and banks, it's a very, very thin line, and you all need to be paying attention, because like I said at the beginning, like the Royal Gazette or not, if you read that story is a defining moment in the leadership of Bermuda under David Burt. What do you think? Should Bermuda still move forward with gaming? What are your thoughts?
At this point, Jamal, I just feel like we need to get things done. If we're gonna do it, let's do it. If we're not gonna do it, let's move on to something else. You get what I'm saying? Like it's so where we sit, it's what's going on with the hotels, what's going on with gaming, what's going on with the marijuana bit. Can we just get some stuff done? I mean, we're make a decision, right, wrong, indifferent, make a decision and let's have it. It makes us, gosh, I hate going there. It makes us look incompetent. We continue to sit in this space of can we get things done? That's how I feel in this space. I get you when you say, is it going to add any value? I personally feel like maybe it may. I always say people come in here, everything closes early. Maybe the casino would spark a restaurant that's next to it that stays open until 1 a.m. I don't know about the show aspect. I don't think it's going to bring that. I feel like it's just going to be focused in on gaming and that's it. But it may open up some other avenues. So I think we should still go ahead with it. I just think that we need to start, it needs to be done already. Figure it out and let's do it.
Yeah, and I think let's say they do figure it out and say let's do it. I just think it's in the hands of Bermuda at this point. So if it's not, and these people seem to have an issue, then maybe the premier and his administration need to humble themselves, right? And say, you know what, if this is going to cost Bermuda the opportunity to bring game in, then let's step back and allow professionals to do what they do. Well, that would take some humility. And we must ask ourselves, does the leadership of Bermuda possess the humility to do what might be best for Bermuda and Bermudians? So, folks, what are your thoughts? Should Bermuda still move forward with gaming? Again, there's been the story about the Hamilton Princess and Beach Club, and now apparently, according to the Royal Gazette, the people from the Marriott Group are flying in for talks. This is a significant moment because, folks, we've been hearing that at Fairmont Southampton, construction was supposed to begin last summer, and then this past December, and then it just you can call me a negative Nancy, you can say I have sour grapes and this and that, but I challenge anyone to call me a liar. I may be a skeptic, but I challenge you because I think in conversations I actually have more hope for Bermuda than many people. I'm hopeful that the Fairmont Southampton may open again. Maybe I'm naive. It may not happen under the Byrd administration, but I'm confident it's going to happen. It may not happen in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. And it may not happen. It may be like Marriott Castle Harbor Hotel. I'm not sure if you all remember that. It may go from a 400-room property to a Rosewood Tuckers Point, about 80-something rooms. But I believe it may open. But it's never going to be the force that it once was. And that's the challenge that Bermuda has. What are your thoughts on gaming? Sean DeShield says, gaming in Bermuda will most likely never come to fruition for many reasons. The first being the local banks who have never endorsed or given their support. No banking support, no gaming in Bermuda, period. I would love to ask, what's the bank? Bermuda Commercial Bank. They seem to be doing something with the government regarding our mortgages. Okay. I wonder if they'd be interested. But that's a good point, Sean. And I would, I'm going to reach out to the Royal Gazette and Bermuda Broadcasting, Gary Forster Skelton, and probably who was covering the story on the Gazette? I think it was Sean Connolly. So I'm going to reach out just to see if any of them have spoken to any of the banks, and maybe ask Maya as well. I'm not sure if she's done this story in particular. Sam Cat Place says, we are continuing to dance in circles. Too much talk. Get some things on the board. Well, again, the Royal Gazette had something. Well, Dwayne Robinson, who ran for the One Bermuda Alliance and former senator, he had a thing last week, which we spoke about the things that the government under David Byrd had said they were going to do and things that haven't moved forward. And then the Royal Gazette had something a couple of days later. And it just seems like there is a lot of talk and no progress. Someone sent me a message this morning, a viewer of the Daily Hour, and really spoke about how the government meets with people and still moves ahead with what their plans are, because if they will entertain you in public in the news, right? But if you don't have lawyers, they're going to move forward. They only seem to back up if you bring lawyers to the table, and they know most people aren't going to fund lawyers, so they'll act as if they listened or use that keyword consultation, right? Essential consultation. They've gone through consultation, and then they move forward. Folks, honestly, and I say this consciously, like, you all can sit there and say I'm biased against David Byrd, the Premier of Bermuda, and the PLP. I don't think it's necessarily David Byrd and the PLP. It's the government. It's the government. I think, Sancha was cautious as she used the word incompetent. This government represents every last one of you. You have to wake up, look in the mirror, and ask yourself, are you comfortable with this kind of governance? And then people say, well, why do they do what they do and no one says anything? Well, no one is all of us.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all of us. We're the ones that you're talking about. It's our responsibility. Sam B says, Bermuda banks are not locally owned and US dollars are accepted all over the world. Banking is not the issue. Over-regulation is the issue. Charles H. Jefferson II says, if gaming does come to Bermuda, I don't think it will be something that increases visitation. It would be an amenity like a hotel pool. Absolutely. And
I agree.
that's it. It's not something that's going to increase visitation at this point. Everywhere does it. Everywhere has gaming at this point. It's not a game changer for Bermuda, but it is an amenity that people can appreciate while they're here, if that's their thing. Shanna Smith and Sean DeShield Center.
Shana Smith says, I think gaming in Bermuda is dead. The government is too proud to acknowledge it. Continue to expect press conferences with vague announcements of coming soon.
Well, and people seem to like vague announcements and press conferences.
But you know what, I was sitting here thinking, maybe it's one of those things that, when we talk about tourism, and maybe it's one of those things, it's not for Bermuda, we're not doing it, let's move on to something else. What is the something else, and what does that look like? I think that we should not be afraid to make a decision, and if it's not working and it's taking too much time and resources, move forward. Let's figure something else out.
Yeah. I agree. Sean DeShield says other islands such as Bahamas, Curacao, entered the gaming industry many years ago. Once again, Bermuda is playing catch up. I mean, many years ago. Charles H. Jefferson II says, Sanchez is correct. We have too many tourism-related projects in limbo, which doesn't give our destination marketing professionals anything new to talk about, whereas our competitors do. Sean DeShield says, an amenity that will only be offered by 2 hotels. Sorry, only 1 now. And Maya just shared something. She said, in 2014, Bermuda passed into law the Casino Gaming Act, which permitted the creation of up to 3 integrated resort casinos on island. The goal of the act is to enhance the Bermudian tourism product through investment in the hospitality industry and economy. So yes, I was right. 2014. That's 8 years this year. It would be. So man, I like when Maya, gives me something good. It says, Jamal, you were okay. You were okay. Real good. My memory is not what it used to be. Oh, I got to bring Maya in, folks. It's news break time. But folks, if you appreciated this morning's discussion, give us a thumbs up. We're going to bring Maya in for the news break. And then we have the sensational Dr. Jana Outerbridge coming on. We're going to be discussing grief. Another conversation, if you've noticed the tone of this show this year, we're tapping into feelings. We've had Mask on with Dr. Peets. We've had Jody Virgil on Organized Solutions Bermuda talking about decluttering, how it helps your mental space. So some very important conversations as we tap into our inner being in 2023 and beyond. So let's bring Maya in before Sancha gets in trouble.
Good morning, guys. I love how you try to make it up for Sancha getting in trouble. No full attitude.
I'm just saying. I mean,
the other day, I was looking at my phone, some messages I had sent to Jamal. I scrolled up and I said, Jamal, I would never commit a crime with you, because Jamal is really good at passing the buck and saving himself. So, listen, don't commit any crimes with Jamal.
I mean, y'all should tell the truth. Don't do it, folks. I'm gonna tell on you too. I'm gonna tell on you. Maya, what's your thoughts? I mean, I don't know if you want to get into this. Are you like for someone like you individually, like would you go to like a Vegas or somewhere just to game it? Like, I don't know what Generation Z is into.
No.
Okay.
No, I would not. I feel like this is actually a very touristy thing and not a Bermudian thing personally. Like I know a lot of guys do the bet 69, like that thing on the phone. So they do those type of betting and gaming. But like I've never really heard of, wanting this big extravagant thing, at least from people in my age group. Sure, they might play poker every once in a while. I might know of like 2 or 3 friends, but as for something huge like this, I don't think it's like bringing in Bermuda things. I think it really is just generated to those type of specific tourists for coming into Bermuda. So this kind of feels like one thing that I can definitely say, oh yeah, this is definitely for tourism and not really for Bermudians, which in the sense is, I guess, a good thing if you look at it that way. When you're talking about yesterday, Sandra, like how do we get tourists to actually want to take part? That's how I see like this is something I think that tourists will take part in more than Bermudians.
Yeah, I think that's the goal, but I like.
I have to disagree.
You think Bermudians want to participate, Sandra?
What? Yes, I think it's going to end up being the same situation. A whole lot of Bermudians in our casinos gambling, and then we're going to have a problem talking about people are losing their money in gambling.
That's another route too.
Yeah, I think it's going to be all Bermudians.
Interesting. Well, I mean, she ain't wrong with like restaurant month and other stuff. But anyway, we're not going there today.
Well, it is a pretty long news break, but I'm going to try to keep it short, knowing that we have a really important guest and an awesome conversation coming in. But here's some news that you guys should definitely tap into. Sad news to begin with. A 17-year-old male was struck several times on his head and body by 3 suspects on Monday, January the 23rd, around 10:20 a.m. on the grounds of the former Barclay Institute on Barclay Road, Pembroke. 2 males have been arrested in connection with the alleged assault. It is understood that the incident was video recorded as well, and the police are asking that if you do receive it, please do delete it and do not send it forward. And anyone with any information is asked to also contact Sergeant Kim Cowper at 247-1685.
Hold on. A child was assaulted and it's on video? Okay. This is 2023, Jamal.
Nobody's like, they didn't go to stop it. They were like, let's put up the phone.
Yeah.
There was 3 of them who did it. 2 have been arrested in connection. So suspects have been arrested in connection of it. So the assumption is
somebody, that we can possibly hold responsible.
Yeah, I'm glad there's video.
Yeah.
Oh, in other news, 2 separate press releases about the egg show were actually sent out recently, one by the committee itself and the other by the Department of Parks, both stating that the committee will not be taking the sole responsibility of the egg show this year and that the sole responsibility will be on the Department of Parks for this year's egg show.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. I want to know more about this.
Definitely going to be more coming into you guys like as the time permits, but I can say that the government has put aside $100,000 for this event. The Minister of Public Works, David Birch, did say that the show is expected to only be like 75 to 80% of what people are normally used to as well. And the Egg Show Committee itself, in their press release, they talked about how many $227,000 that they raised on numerous occasions for charities throughout the years, and also thousands of dollars for ranging to schools for prizes and things like that. So looking at a lot of money budgeting here, and $100,000 just doesn't seem to be enough, but they haven't confirmed any sponsors for this year yet, according to this press statement. But I did send in some questions, and I'm hoping to get some responses for tomorrow's update.
Okay. Thank you for that, Maya. Interesting.
Okay. And next, if you didn't already know in other news, each year in Bermuda, over 300 people are diagnosed with cancer and over 80 people die due to cancer in Bermuda. While World Cancer Day is next Saturday, February 4th, and the Bermuda Cancer and Health Center is encouraging the community to pause and reflect on this disease that is the second leading cause of death worldwide. On Saturday, February 4th at 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., you can visit a pop-up location in Washington Mall, Reed Street level, and enjoy complimentary refreshments while also finding out the steps you and your family can take to help prevent these cancers.
When is the event?
February 4th.
February 4th. Okay.
Washington on Reed Street.
All right. February 4th, folks.
And closing up with the last 2 news for today, this is kind of like a reminder to the public that Black Watch Pass will have to be closed again on Saturday, the 28th of January, between 7 a.m. and 5 p.m. to allow the completion of cutting down the vegetation on the road there. So just note that on Saturday, between 7 a.m. 5 p.m., Black Watch Pass will be closed. And I want to close out this broadcast just by stating that Gary Foster Skeleton had a report about Balco and the emissions and the housings on the roof. And if you haven't watched that yet, it's definitely a good one to go see. He talked to some community members of families within that area who always get the gas pollution of Balco and what the rooftops look like and what they're dealing with. Like most of these families can't even drink the water or bake in the water that they have. So it's something very serious, and I'm glad that he touched on this topic and got to actually speak to the families and go to the homes so we can actually get a deeper look into what's going on with the Balco emissions.
Yeah, I'm wondering if I saw it on LinkedIn. He might have posted it, but he posted a lot of his stories on LinkedIn, but I want to check it out for sure.
I watched it. It's it's scary. It's scary. Yeah. It's scary for what it's going to bring. We're talking about World Cancer Day, and not saying, but it's scary for the illnesses that people are going to endure years to come.
But I'm not trying to make this political. I want people to really feel me as I say what I'm about to say. To me, that's life or death, right?
It is.
But we have such short memories, and I'm going to tell you why.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe in rewarding children for doing the right thing. Now, I'm no psychologist. I'm no social worker. But I don't believe that I should be rewarded for going the speed limit. I think that should be a normal part of life. Where I'm going with this is we all complain about the price of our bills and Belco, this and that. And then as soon as they go and do their job, we praise them. Something like this is a matter of life or death. But when that PR machine gets going and they give you a bag of groceries, of junk food, all of a sudden, they're back in your good graces for a week. Every conversation we have on this show comes back down to us, you know. We have got to stop being, I'm going to use a word, stupid, and letting people take advantage of us like our minds don't operate fully. Like, people, think beyond what's being put before you. Because there's no reason every Bermudian, just because you don't live around Belco, doesn't mean you can't get around and support these folks. But you've got to stop celebrating, in the words of my former lawyer, the wrong things. An award for doing your job, and we praise them. But yet, what's being done to protect the very people who are being impacted by the emissions around there? There are bigger things to celebrate. And I'm not quite sure anything they've done is worthy. And this is no disrespect to the employees at Belco. This is about the company itself. Maya, any weather report for us?
The weather for today, yes, is looking a little bit cloudy overall, maybe brighter later, and we got a high of 68 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's cooler than it was in the last couple of days.
All righty. There we go, folks. Cool. Maya, thank you so much for that. We'll see you tomorrow.
Hello.
Oh, sorry. Days of the year. Oh, my goodness. Woo, I almost got beat up just now. What the Sandra? Give it to us.
Today is National IV Nurse Day.
Mm.
Many people don't realize that there's a specialty in nursing that is related to everything IV. While all registered nurses can start to manage IVs, it can also be a complicated process that requires extra skill and training. National IV Nurse Day is the time to show appreciation for these specialized nurses who make IV useful and effective and painless as possible.
Mm.
I respect them because I've had some awesome ones and I've had some like, what are you doing? You get that one that really is not good at her craft. But I've had some, it's like you don't even feel it. So yeah, I respect it.
I've had it once and I felt at home. So I don't know what a bad one feels. I don't want to know what a bad one feels like.
Listen, a bad one is not good. And they're like, can't find your vein. And
that's you. Those are words you don't want to hear in a hospital. Or
so I respect the ones that are gentle.
Yeah. Mayvera, I'll see you tomorrow for real this time.
Tomorrow. Enjoy the conversation.
Thank you so much. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick break. Do not go anywhere. We've got Dr. Jana Outerbridge coming up. We're talking grief today. Important conversation because some of us grieve based on the government we got.
Let's face it, life can be a little wild, but shopping doesn't have to be. I choose People's, so that whether it's a prescription that needs to be filled, a toy for my little terror, or a gift for a new addition to the family, we'll see about that. Everything's available in one convenient location. Some call it People's. I call it my one-stop shop in the city. People's, we're here for you.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough coffee to keep you running throughout the entire day. Your pet at home deserves the best. Stock up on dog food to keep your puppy happy. Need a quick, tasty lunch at home? Your chicken nuggets will be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's Next Level. Why go anyplace else?
Mom's celebrating her 70th birthday next month. Have you noticed her age is catching up with her?
Yeah. Plus, she's having a hard time getting up and around like she's used to. I would sure hate to see her fall.
At Medical House Limited, we can help make life situations easier. We have electric beds, motorized scooters, bath stools, walkers, you name it.
Mom's been real good to us. We'll get her birthday and Christmas gifts from Medical House.
Medical House has relocated next to the Dendy Town Field, number 6 Bakery Lane, Pembroke. Telephone 292-3622.
Alrighty, welcome back to the Big Show, Central Durham. I'm Jamel Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by Medical House, One Communications, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy. Also, folks, if you don't know, well, Sam just missed out, just like Sherry. Now you know. I mean, we was just trying to do some Biggie, but she didn't know her lyrics just now. But anyway, you no longer need social media to tune into Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. Just go on our website, dailyhour.com. You can watch again. You cannot comment or engage on there. You would still need to do that on YouTube or Facebook. But if you're one who's shy and doesn't like to engage much, you can just tune in on thedailyhour.com. Without further ado, let's bring in our guest for the day. We've got Dr. Jana Outerbridge. We're talking about grief. Let's give her a warm TDH welcome, folks. All righty.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome. How are you?
Thank you. I'm well. Thank you for having me. It's a little earlier for me than usual, but I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. We it's a time thing. You know what's interesting though? You're in Bermuda. When we have people on the West Coast of the United States, we've had like about 2 people on the West Coast at one point. I think Damon DeGraff might have been out there once. I could be wrong, but I always feel so bad because I'm like, it's early for Bermuda, right? But West Coast is what, 3-4 hours behind? I'm just like,
Yes.
Yeah, but
I think it's just early for me, because I set my own schedule. So, but I mean, this is normal time for everyone else. So I'm like, okay, I need to be organized and pull myself together.
Well, we appreciate it. We appreciate it. And we're grateful that you have given us the time for a conversation like this. And before we jump into it, I did put you on the spot earlier. But just tell the audience a bit about your background and what it is that you do, Dr. Jana.
Okay, yes, you did put me on this spot. I just want to clarify, I was Miss Bermuda in 2011. However, there have been, obviously lots of Miss Bermudas before that time. So I was the first one after the hiatus. So I just wanted to clarify that and, make sure we acknowledge everyone that came before and after me as Miss Bermuda. But I'm a counselor and psychologist, and I am the owner of Mayvera Wellness. And Mayvera is a service for women and girls ages 7 to 107 plus. And I just do what I can to support their needs with mental and emotional well-being in any way that I can.
Indeed. And just an idea of what made you take this route, like go into this space. What was your inspiration?
Yeah, it's so interesting. When I think about, first of all, why I became a psychologist, over the years, you initially go in thinking, yes, I want to help people. But after lots of reflection and increased self-awareness, I realized I probably went into the profession to help myself, right? To kind of heal my own wounds. And now along the way, I've learned these skills where I can support others with healing theirs. When it comes to being in private practice, I was working, previously in different locations here in Bermuda, and I decided I wanted to try something different. And I always knew that I would be in private practice. I didn't think I would be in private practice as soon as I did jump into it, because I've now been in private practice for about 2 years. But I knew that in order for me to have the impact that I want to have without having to, push through so much, I have to go out on my own and create my own blueprint. And so that's why I'm here. That's the reason why I decided to go in this direction. And the reason why I chose to focus on women and girls in particular is because I felt like there wasn't a space that was dedicated just to women and girls. So my services are dedicated to my grandmothers, May and Vera. So it's Mayvera. And I just thought, what would it take for me to kind of carry that love and that legacy on that they poured into my parents to allow me to be here today? And so I just wanted to focus on women. That doesn't mean I do not see men. I do have male clients. They are always welcome. It's just that that's where I decided to pour my focus into.
She doesn't discriminate, fellas, all right?
I don't. I do. I have male clients. I have, young boys as well. I'm trained across the board. It's just that's where I pour my heart into, is focusing on women.
I'm so happy you explained the Mayvera. question. I'm like, where did that come from? So I'm happy you explained that. But I'm also so happy that you're here to speak with us today, because on a recent show, I did mention that how within the Black community, it's a resistance to, seeking therapy. Why do you think that is, and how can we fix that?
Okay, so there's definitely a resistance. However, before I go into the resistance, I want to give us some credit. A lot of people within the Black community are reaching out and engaging in services. So we can't just focus on what's not working well. I think it's important that we focus on what is working well. And this is both men and women, Black men, Black women who are engaging. I know because I have these conversations, and the people that are okay with opening up and sharing, they're like, I've been to therapy, I'm in therapy. So let's give that credit where it's due. No, when it comes to the resistance, right? A lot of us grew up with an understanding of, what happens in this house stays in this house. We'll pray about it. You're going to be fine. It's okay. But there was also a lack of education around what mental health is. We just get on with it. That's just life. That's just what it is. So when your mood is low, no one understands that. Like, go sit off for a minute and come back to it. But there's more to it, right? There really can be some depression that person's experiencing. Or if someone is worrying quite often, they're like, oh, they're just a warrior. Like, hold on, this is excessive. We are now thinking about anxiety here, right? There's something more that we have to explore. But we didn't have that language, that vocabulary, that understanding that we have now today. So I think now that we're having the opportunity to understand more about what it is, people are trying to change the narrative, but then there are some who are like, look, we just got on with it. I don't know about all this mental health stuff, right? And we don't want you going telling this person all of our business. And so that is something that is very much so happening. The other thing I want to point out, and I'm so glad because someone left this comment on one of my posts earlier today, and I often talk about it, but probably not as much as I should, is accessibility to services. It costs to come to see me. Even if you have insurance, there is a high copay. And I've talked to some people, and it's like, whoa, it's going to cost me that much to be able to come to therapy. And the answer to that is yes. But also we have our insurance companies, some do very well. I will say that here locally, and some do not pay very well. And so that's another issue. I think some people will come if they could afford to come. They understand because they come to the free consultations and then they find out the price and they're like, yikes. And how many sessions? Wait. I'm like, yeah, it's going to probably take some time. And so there's something about pushing back as well with our insurance companies, our policymakers, being able to fund the services so that people can come. Now, we do have free services. We have, EAP, if people go to Mid-Atlantic. There are places that people can go, but not everyone is going to go to certain places if it's already been stigmatized. Yeah, so there's a few things that I think come up for me when I think about the reasons why, people do not go to therapy. It could be that stigma, and also it could be financially. Can they actually afford to be in services?
Indeed.
Yeah.
So Rosalind Famous says, yes, you hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
The cost and accessibility.
Yes. And I am going to say this because some people push back on, well, why is it so expensive? Why is this happening? So I'm a psychologist. I have a doctorate degree. That came with a lot of commitment, a lot of time, and a pretty, high degree of expertise. I also have to do training. I have to prepare for your sessions. I have to keep my knowledge and skills up. And that's not free. And I'm not saying it's just one individual session that pays for that. But in order for you to get the transformation that you deserve when you come to see someone like me or one of my colleagues within the community, we have to make a lot of investments as well outside of that session to make sure when we show up.
Well, I want to jump in because we are on time, but I want to just ask you, because what I'm hearing is we're not treating therapy like we do or mental health as we do physical health. And to me, that's something that I'm picking up from this. Would that be correct?
Yes, I do think that that is something that does happen. And I also, the other part is that people go to their physical doctor for their physical health and they pay the copay, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because this is something, you know, you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
So because we've the education around the importance of our mental health that actually has an impact on our physical well-being, you know, we don't understand it as much. So that's also some resistance, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I try to be gentle with this conversation because I'd rather us really educate versus you need to go to therapy. I don't like that. It's not helpful because if someone already doesn't understand how this can be important for them, us pushing back is not the answer by saying everyone should go to therapy.
Well, let me say this. Today's topic really resonates with me as I've experienced a lot of loss within the past year. And I hear a lot, girl, you're strong. You'll be okay. And it drives me nuts. How do we change that narrative in the community that believing we should just pick up the pieces and continue to plow through?
Yes. Okay. So thank you for sharing that. And if anyone else has any stories or their thoughts around grief, please definitely share and comment because I would like to hear what others are thinking. What I will say is that sometimes we don't know how to respond, right? We don't have the vocabulary on what to say. And so people just say what they've always heard. You'll be strong, you'll be fine, you're going to be okay. And so it's important that as much as we'd like to hear it differently, sometimes people are coming from a good place. They just have no idea what to say. But on that note, it is important that we understand that this isn't a just be strong. This isn't a just get on with it. You know, grief is it's a normal response to loss, right? It's something that it just happens and it can be out of our control. And so if you don't have the right words to say, just try to show up and be present. Just try to be there for people, you know, in the best way that you possibly can. And knowing that telling people to be strong is not giving them the space to heal and to grieve in the way that they deserve, right?
So when we think of the word grief, we automatically think of the most intense type of grief. And could be so many other reasons why people feel grief, such as divorce or loss of a relationship or losing a job or even retirement. Can you speak to how important it is to acknowledge your feelings towards those types of situations?
Yes, it is extremely important. We normally just think that we're grieving when it's the death of a loved one, but changes in our situation. So if we lose our jobs, changes in our financial situations, divorce, like the list goes on, we can be going through a grieving process. You know, we can experience some sadness, right? We can experience a lot of confusion around that time. The stages of grief, and they are very popular. We often talk about them, but I want to talk about two models. So we have the Elizabeth Kubler-Ross model, which talks about sometimes you may go through some denial, anger. You may be starting to bargain, like, if I do this, you know, will this bring my loved one back? Will this help them to heal? Right? You can be grieving a loved one before they've actually died if they are terminally ill. You know, that person is no longer able to do the things that they used to. And we can be starting to grieve that experience of what they're going through because we don't have that person in the same way. And then we may experience some depression, as well as we may get to a point of acceptance. And it doesn't just go in that order. We may go through the different stages at different times, right? And so it's important for us to know that we can grieve more than the actual death of a loved one. There's so many changes and transformations in life that we could be grieving. And it's okay to name that. I'm grieving right now. I lost my job. I can't manage the same way. And so that is something that is important that we acknowledge. But I want to share another model because I think we often talk about these stages of grief, and it makes people feel like it should go in this particular order. But there's another model of grief, which I'm just imagining it's like a circle, right? And this is the grief. And as life kind of goes on and you continue to live and develop, this circle, you start to have the grief that's still there, but you create these new life experiences. Life continues to go on and you continue to learn new ways to cope, but you may never completely erase that grief, right? Because it's a part of us. And the reason why I think this model is so important is because oftentimes when we speak specifically about the death of a loved one in particular, people want to make sure that they don't forget that loved one, or they're doing something wrong if they miss an opportunity to go to the gravesite and to visit. But it's reminding people, yes, you may still be holding that grief, holding that person, but life kind of started to go on in other ways. So you haven't done anything wrong. You may still be grieving. That pain may still be there. You may notice in 5 years that you just notice yourself crying uncontrollably because it doesn't have an arrival point where it's over, right? You may still continue to notice how you feel at different times, different milestones, holidays, marriage, births, of children and things like that, where you miss and you notice that that person's not there. So your grief may not go away. You may not forget that person, but your life will start to go on in some way. And what I want people to know is that when it becomes too much, right? In the beginning, when there's initial loss, it's normal for you to be experiencing sadness and not sure what to do and going through many phases. But if it becomes excessive over a period of time and you find that you're unable to manage, that's when it's time to get some help. It's okay to talk to someone and get some support if it becomes too much.
Okay. Can you explain some of the effects one can suffer if they don't deal with grief in the correct way?
Ooh, what can happen? So let me be careful with the correct way. I just want to be really careful with that. Everyone grieves differently. So if you imagine two people that are grieving the death of the exact same loved one, it may look different. Someone may go back to work within a week or two, and someone may still be struggling, and they are experiencing the loss of the exact same individual. I want us to be gentle with how we share that people should or shouldn't grieve, right? Some people may continue to visit the gravesite at least once a month or more often, whereas someone else seems to go on. And we don't want to compare with each other on, you're getting this right and you're getting this so wrong, right? If it's not impairing their quality of life and their ability to go on, we have to allow people to go through their own grieving process. Now, when it's unaddressed, and I want to be gentle with that. If it's something where you try to muscle through and you haven't given yourself the space and opportunity to actually really feel and acknowledge how you're feeling, it can show up in your relationships, in your communication. It can show up where you're not able to sleep, after a period of time where you're still having restless nights and your thoughts are going. That's impairing your physical health, your ability to perform at your job, to care for your children, in the right ways that they deserve to be cared for. So you may start to neglect your own self-care, bathing and taking care of yourself. There are so many ways that it can show up. It will be hard to just name one way because it can look different for different people.
Let's go to the audience. Got a few questions. Jody Virgil says, Dr. Jana, thank you for your expertise. How might grief show up for children?
Interesting. So their grades may start to change in school. Their friendships may start to look different. What else may happen? They may, not interact in the same way. They may want to be alone in the room some more than often. Or they may get on with it in ways where you think that they should be grieving in a particular way and it should look a certain way, but it's not affecting them in the way where they're presented in the exact same way as someone else, as another child that's in the house, right? And it depends on what the relationship may have been with that loved one. It can look very, very different, and also because we're thinking about loss in so many ways, if parents separate, it can show up in so many different ways for each child that it may be hard to pinpoint one thing. But if there are definitely significant changes that you're noticing in your child that was not happening before, they may be experiencing some grief, and it's okay for them to get support.
Alrighty. Mark Arthur C. Phillips asking, how does one deal with grief when you feel as if you did not go through all the stages of grief?
How does one deal with grief? Feel like you don't have to go through all the stages. And some people may argue with me on that, and I'm okay with that. You may not even notice that you've even been through all of these stages, right? You may jump to acceptance, and then you notice in 2 months' time, you're back in a space of, not back, but you're in a space of denial. And you may notice that you're now experiencing some depression, some really deep sadness around it. And then a week later, you are bargaining, like, if you could bring this person back, God, bring this person back into my life. Are you sure this is the decision that is made? Because I can't go on. You may notice you're going through those different stages, but I wouldn't say that you have to go through each stage in any particular order at any particular time. I don't think that it looks like that. We didn't come all with this one blueprint. It will look different for different people, but also you may be going through the stages and haven't even been able to actually articulate the stages in a way because you haven't been able to identify it for yourself.
One of the things that always I wondered, because I think growing up, when you experience things, as a child, you watch people, because as a child, you've never seen certain adults cry or be emotional, right? And I grew up thinking that grief looked a certain way. Does grief have a look?
I know exactly what you mean, especially if a child was at a funeral or something like that. We anticipated that it would have this look. No, I do not believe that it has a certain look at all. I think the media gives us a message on how things should look, or if we witness something as a child, it should look this way. But it doesn't have to. It can look different. You didn't get it wrong because you didn't necessarily scream and cry. It was your own individual experience, and it was okay how you managed in that time, right? It doesn't have a look. It doesn't have a look. And sometimes we compare ourselves, like I said, to others. They didn't do it like how I did it, so they can't really be grieving this person. Not true. They could have just been going out and continued to have fun with life. Does not mean that they are not grieving.
Indeed. And one last thing before you head out is, we talk about speaking to someone, seeking therapy, and different stages and models. Is it okay to grieve privately? Like, not everyone, is going to express themselves publicly or in front of others. Some people just want that, let me take my time, let me go and go in a room and just relax my mind and think about my loved one or my, whatever it is that I'm grieving.
Yes. 100%. I had actually put together a checklist, and it's on my social media if anyone would like to find it, of top 10 tips for grieving. And one of them that I did have on there was, it's okay to be alone. It's okay to give yourself some alone time to be able to process, to be able to understand how you're feeling. And knowing that when being alone has become too much, right? And it may be time to reach out to your support system. Oftentimes we have people around us and they come and they're around all the time. And that's okay. But it's also okay to say, I need a little bit of space to myself today to just sit, or to go sit by the water, or whatever it is that you need to do to be able to process for yourself. I think it's perfectly fine as long as you feel safe enough to do so.
Alrighty, Dr. John, just real quickly, you mentioned your social media. Just let people know how they can get in touch with you and follow you on your social media channels.
Sure. I am Mayvera, Mayvera, wellness everywhere on all social media, LinkedIn, Instagram, everywhere. And you can find me on my website as well, mayverawellness.com. And you'll learn more about my services, things to come. And that's where I am. And I trained as a bereavement counselor before becoming a psychologist. So this was one of my passions early on in my career. I evolved over time, but this was work I used to do in the UK, strictly focusing on bereavement counseling.
Wonderful. Dr. Jana,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Yeah.
Like I said, I had reached out to you first year, if you remember, and we never made it happen, but I'm so glad that you
Yes.
made the time. And please don't be a stranger. We would love to have you back. There are so many different things regarding therapy, mental health that we can discuss. So
For
thank you.
sure.
Have a wonderful day.
Thanks. Have a good one.
All right, Dr. Jana Outerbridge, folks, if you appreciated that conversation, give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. And I just want to send condolences out to the Rogers family. One of my best friends, Jadal, Uncle Goody, as they called him, Hubert Rogers, who I believe they're celebrating his life today. And anyone else out there who is grieving, you definitely you're in our thoughts. It's not an easy process. A year ago this month, we lost my mom. So everyone grieves differently. That's the key thing. And I think it's something we ought to respect of one another. Don't go anywhere, folks. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back, wrap it up with the daily play and our final thoughts. You don't want to miss this daily play, because if Sencha gets this wrong, seriously, folks, like I ain't talking. Well, she probably would like that. I'm talking to her for the rest of the day.
A lot happens around your home. That is why at One Communications, we have introduced affordable security and video monitoring, because everyone should be able to afford to protect their family. Anytime, from anywhere, One Home Security keeps you connected and puts security in your hands with an easy-to-use smartphone app to control everything. Home security is important to keep you and your family safe. Motion-activated cameras around your home and security monitoring within create a complete security system providing protection both inside and outside your home. Professional monitoring means that there's someone on call with 24/7 protection to notify the authorities and help keep you and your loved ones safe. We are dedicated to whole home protection with indoor and outdoor cameras, smart door locks, motion sensors, and more, so you'll always be connected to what matters most. With professional installation, no upfront hardware fees, and low monthly rates, because keeping your family safe should be affordable for everyone. Total home video monitoring and security. There's no better way to protect your home than with One Home Security.
All right, welcome back. Thanks again to Dr. Jana Outerbridge. Folks, go check her out, Mayvera Wellness, on social media. Always got good information to share. Thankful for the conversation about grief, therapy, and healing. We have to have more. And again, if you've noticed the tone of this show this year, the feedback from this team, Sancha and Sherry and Phil and Larry and Maya and Tamara, like we are trying to bring conversations to the forefront that we can engage with people who are considered experts in their field to really help us help ourselves. All right. So thanks again to Dr. Jana. Thanks again to One Communications, People's Pharmacy, Medicals, and Lenders for ensuring we can have these, and People's Pharmacy, I said, for ensuring we can have these conversations. It's time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Bermuda Trivia, now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. Sancha, are you ready? All right, it's music today. Folks, let's test Sancha. And my goodness, Sancha, you don't get that. I'm putting pressure on you. This is the easiest question. Here we go. I'm starting the music early as well.
Okay.
No, I'm not. According to TLC, what is a guy that thinks he's fly? How do you know that, Sancha? You've had a scrub or two?
No.
I tell you, it's the easiest question. And folks, I no lie, I literally just picked it out. Honestly, because I try not to be, that guy. I literally just picked it out. I said, I can't even go back and pick another because then I wouldn't be being fair. I picked it out. I'm like, if Sancha does not get this question, I'm honestly not going to be.
Listen, when that song came out, every teenage girl knew that the lyrics word for word.
Shawnette, she says that was easy. So did you have a scrub, Shawnette, back in the day? I was probably the scrub. Don't answer that, any of my exes if they watch. Let's well, I just want to go through some comments real quickly before we wrap it up. But we had quite a few. Shanette Bell said, "Love Dr. Jana. She has been awesome." Sherry, love Dr. Jana. She does awesome work. So proud of you to have watched your journey to where you are now. Karen Simmons says, "Good morning, Dr. John, beautiful young lady. Can't wait to have the conversation today." Well, we heard it. Hopefully you enjoyed the conversation. To Karen, Tamara, Mikhail says, "True words, talk to someone if needed." Yes. And Maya actually shared, "I went to grief sessions after my best friend died, and my doctor said, grief is hard, but it is also a reminder of how much love was there and brings you back to good memories that help." So yes, a very interesting conversation. Jody Virgil wrap it up with this. She says, "Excellent conversation. We all experience grief, and it is important to know we are not alone. One of the biggest suggestions given to me when my dad passed was in your own way and in your own time." Better words, truer words, right there, Jody. Thank you so much for that. Let's wrap it up today. Let's start with the discussion. Casino gaming, Sancho. What are your final thoughts on that? And then obviously the conversation with Dr. Jana Outerbridge.
I'm simple with this. At the end of the day, as I said, can we just make a decision, whether it's right, whether it's wrong? And your parents tell you, like, do something. This is how I feel. I feel like we're using a lot of time, a lot of resources, these press conferences that don't really say anything, as one of the audience members stated. Let's make a decision and figure it out and plow forward. It's been too many years dedicated to this. As far as Dr. Jana, I enjoyed our conversation today. I have never met her, never spoken to her, didn't know of her. And as I said, I've experienced so much grief recently and in previous years. And when I was younger, I didn't talk. You know what I mean? I didn't want to talk. I didn't understand it. It was a lot to deal with. And for it to be okay now for us to speak and talk to someone and actually go through it, I welcome it. And I also think that people need to not pass judgment. So many times they just lost somebody and she is out last night. Let's not pass. Everybody deals with grief in their own way. And it's not for us to judge how they should be grieving. And we need to allow it and support it, whatever that looks like. If it gets to a point where it's a detriment to themselves and you feel like, okay, this is out of control, then okay, let's suggest how can we help, but let's stop the judgment.
Indeed, I agree. I just want to say, as regards to casino gaming, I really believe that the government needs to step back and let professionals do their thing. If that's what's costing Bermuda the opportunity to move forward, then just do what's in the best interest of Bermuda and Bermudians for once. Just this one time, we're asking. If not, then chances are what you're doing is going to be more detrimental to Bermuda, Bermudians, and your legacy, if you even care about that. As far as Dr. Jana, again, a very helpful conversation for me. We at the end of the day, I think everything we discussed this morning is summed up in that last part that Jody Virgil said. In our own way, in our own time, we will grieve differently. One of the things that I had a hard time dealing with my mom's passing is expectations from others. Stop putting your expectations on other people. Like, okay, you're grieving a certain way. Let me grieve. Let me be. Let me deal with it. But I don't like people putting pressure on others and so on. So, folks, people will deal with things in different ways. Do not put added pressure on them, especially if that loss may be bigger or closer to them than you. You've got some daily inspiration for us, Sanch?
Grief is like the ocean. It comes on waves, ebbing and flowing. Sometimes the water is calm and sometimes it's overwhelming. All we can do is learn to swim. And that's by Vicki Harrison.
Thank you so much for that, Sancha. And thanks again to our partners, Medical House, One Communications, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. She's Sancha Durham. I'm Jamal Hartman. My friends, please do make it a safe and a great day. We are is out. Peace.